say, kids, what time is it?
So,
Yeah, I was gonna wear a bag on my head
not that again.
because I bow to you. I have lost again.
Yeah,
There's no
yeah.
way.
I did one better. Wow.
Yeah, but
I'm
you
no,
did better last week
I
too.
know, but I'm no genius, that's for sure.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna get swept there.
I know it almost looked like
It
I was.
looked like it. Thank God the Bills left 13 seconds on the clock.
Yeah. Geez, I don't remember like a lot of things about ever a division weekend being like this. Like almost all the underdogs winning. Every game ending on the last play, either regulation or overtime. It's like what the
Yeah, we got a
heck?
lot to unpack. So I went 1-3. You went 2-2.
Yeah.
I'm dog meat. I'm done. I'm torched. My playoff record is 4-6. Yours is 6-4, with 3 games left to pick.
Yep.
And I'm guessing we're probably gonna have very
Well,
similar picks, but
we
you
could
never
just
know.
have the opposites of the chance.
I was thinking I'll just whatever you say, I'll do the opposite, but I can't do that.
Well, you will if it's something that you already were gonna do,
No, that's true.
obviously.
That's true. So my God, let's just start at the very
Uh,
beginning. Um, let's start on Saturday. I mean, Tennessee and Cincinnati. Um, that one was
which
crazy.
which after that game, I'm like, oh, at least we got that first game, a good game again. Like in the previous wild card when Cincinnati played, it was like that was the best game of the
Yeah, I
weekend. It
was
was like,
thinking the
oh,
same thing. I'm like, all right, at least we know the Bengals will give
yeah,
us an entertaining game, right?
yeah. So everything else is probably gonna get blown out and boring, but we got this one. Like that was so, and it's like I really only picked Cincinnati based on like probably what I wanted to happen, not really what I thought to happen. Because they look early on, it looked just like we were talked about. Their offensive line was like so bad. He was getting pressured almost every play. He was what did they get like
9 sacks.
9? Oh, yeah, I know in the first half it was like 5. So yeah, it must have been. And I'm like, how are they gonna do anything on this offense? I mean, he has like no time to throw, but somehow, wow. I mean, I give the Cincinnati defense a lot of credit for just whole stabilizing that game and just keeping them just in that game until their offense could figure something out because that could have easily gone been a blowout if Tennessee offense had taken advantage of it. We saw Henry, he was okay. I mean, you know, he didn't take over the game, nor did I expect him to. But him being back there gave their play action pass a lot. They were very successful with that. But somehow Tannehill, I don't know. I don't know if it was the Bengal secondary or he was off because it looked like he had a lot of opportunities, but what was it? 3 interceptions. I mean, one of them I know was kind of bounced off somebody's hands, and he kind of missed kind of a lot of passes,
He
and
was
I'm not
awful in
sure.
the first half.
Yeah.
He was awful, and Henry didn't look any different to me.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Ironically, though, the big run of the day came from Foreman. He
Right.
had that big 45 or 48-yard run or whatever it was in the first half. But the Bengals did what you said they. I mean, they did the same thing against the Raiders. They were kicking a lot
Right.
of field goals and just
Yep.
kind of hanging around, and then they got their moment, their opportunity, and they sprung.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like right at the beginning. I was like, oh, they're going for field goals again, and then it's like then Tennessee finally comes back in the second and scores one time and automatically takes the lead on just one play. You know,
Right.
they have one big play and then and I'm like, geez, that's what I was afraid of.
Well, that's the
Like,
problem. Yeah, in the playoffs, you can't trade threes for sevens. You just
yeah,
can't do that. You know. But the Cincinnati, they're very loose. They're a very confident bunch.
yeah,
I don't know if you heard, but when they went to McPherson, it's a 52-yard field goal to win the game at the last play of the game, and then he was like, "Yeah, okay, I got it. We're in." He said, "We're going to the championship game" before he walked out there to kick it, and he's a
like,
rookie.
oh, I guess we're going to a championship
He's
game.
a rookie, right? You had Burrow, second-year player. You had Chase, a rookie. You have McPherson, the kicker, a rookie. Like these young guys that are factoring in with a lot of confidence and a lot of ability, of course, is pretty remarkable. And I think a lot of that goes to the head coach, Zach Taylor.
Yep.
I heard this week on the radio that he goes to a local pub or a local restaurant or establishment and brings a game ball from each win. So
Yeah,
he just
that's
shows
right.
up
I
at a
heard that
local
too.
bar with Joe Burrow or something, and they bring a ball, and that's pretty cool, and the place goes crazy, and they're real community guys, and good for Cincinnati. I mean, these are perennial losers.
Yeah. Yep.
As for
And
Tennessee, man, I kind of had. I think I said I wonder if the layoff, that week off, and it
right.
looks like it factored into another team too. That week off, they looked a little sluggish at the beginning.
Yep.
A little, like you said, Tannehill was a little out of rhythm. Wasn't hitting his passes in the first half there at all. He was a mess. So
And even after that, they got some success late in the first half, and I thought that this would be it. They kind of just take over the game. I mean, it's still they kind of was just kind of off and on the whole game, and it didn't seem to really get into their like style for long periods of time. And I mean, obviously, there's another team you're playing. The Cincinnati defense, which I thought had kind of like taken too many injuries. Kind of, they just hung in there and did what they had to do barely. And and same thing that happened with the Raiders game. They it's like that. It's like they have their offense or their defense have kind of like a mental connection, exactly like, oh, we'll do just this much and you do that much, and they kind of just go well together.
yeah, and the big play that turned a lot of the momentum around was the Mike Hilton interception where he
Yeah,
deflected the ball up, caught it, and took off.
yeah.
I said this summer that the Steelers' greatest loss was Mike Hilton. They should have
Oh,
brought
they were
him
trying.
back.
Did
No,
they
they didn't
have?
even try. They
Okay.
didn't even try. But that guy was one of those. He's a nickel back. He's an unsung hero. He was devastating on a safety blitz for the Steelers. And when they let him walk, I said that's a huge mistake right there.
Yeah.
So hey, Cincinnati, give it to them, tip of the cap. And you think, all right, we got one good game. Let's put on the Packers and the 49ers and see what happens.
Yeah.
What? Again?
Yeah. That was. Uh, the Packers went in there on the first drive and they did exactly what I thought they were going to do the whole game. Just zip, zip, zip right on down. Mixed a couple of runs and mostly just Aaron Rodgers with a passing game touchdown. I'm like, oh, this is going to be just like marquee Packers, easy win. And then it was like that was it. It's almost like okay, so we did this and that's kind of like our our work for the day, and we never even saw them like kind of do much after that, and give the Packers defense. I mean, the Packers defense were kind of like the heroes on their side. They did a brilliant job trying to getting Garoppolo off his game. Though the San Francisco offense did almost nothing this game. I mean, it wasn't even them that I give credit for this win. Uh, by the way, and we did see like the snow. It did snow later on, right?
Started
It was
snowing in the
like
second half, yeah.
but it's like I don't want to hear anything about like, oh, the snow slowed down like the Packers pat. No, this is your stadium. This is where you play. I don't want to hear any excuses about how the weather might have affected Aaron Rodgers or anybody on that, because this is you guys should be used to be playing this. So I don't want to hear that. And of course, they're special teams, which wouldn't even be mentioned in this game if the Packers offense had done what they have done pretty much all year. But because they kind of like went into a turtle shell right after the first drive, that special teams like really cost them a lot. You
Well,
know, late in the first half, what was like a 39-yard field goal blocked, and then you saw what happened in the second half.
yeah, coaches will always stress that you have to win all three phases of the
Yep.
game, and a lot of times special teams is kind of taken for granted. Oh, the
Yeah.
punter and the kicker. And more emphasis so much on the field goal kicker because if he misses a field
Right.
goal, that's points. But the punting game is equally as important for establishing field position and things of that nature. And I have not seen a postseason performance by a special teams unit that bad, collectively that bad, yeah, maybe ever. That was
I don't remember
unbelievable,
ever seeing that either.
unbelievable. Getting back to your point too about the opening drive, a lot of times when I see teams do that, especially when it's like when I'm watching a Pittsburgh game and the opponent goes right down the field and scores, I don't panic or get nervous because every
Right.
team comes in with 15 scripted plays
Right. Yep. Yep.
and they run their script. And then it's what happens after when they're freelancing the rest of the game and the adjustments are being made that sets the tone. And clearly, I mean, you're talking about the Green Bay Packers here. They've won 39 games in the last 3 seasons. 13-3, 3 years in a row. Home
Yeah.
field advantage. The road to the Super Bowl goes through Green Bay, and they have not gotten back. In fact, Aaron Rodgers has been there one time in his entire career, and you got to start wondering like what's going on there with Matt LaFleur. Like what is the deal? This is a high-powered offense, and their defense isn't like dominant or suffocating, but they're a what would be the term be? Competent,
Decent.
solid, competent.
Solid. Yeah.
It, look, the way their offense plays, it covers a lot of the deficiencies on their defense. This is a team that should not struggle like this at home in the playoffs year after year after year. And yet here they are, they're sitting home again. Aaron Rodgers won Super Bowl trip his whole career. A lot of people like
Yeah.
to say he's one of the best ever, but I'm sorry, when you stand him next to Tom Brady, it's not even freaking close.
Yeah. It's not
It's
even
not even
close.
close. Aaron Rodgers might have more raw ability than Tom Brady, but he cannot win big games on a consistent basis. He's proven that. I mean, what is going on? Like, if you're going to be an elite quarterback in this league, that's the kind of game you've got to put your team on your back and say, we got to win this game. You got to figure out a way. Today, Ben Roethlisberger retired, and I watched Ben Roethlisberger find a way a lot, including Super Bowl 43.
Yep.
So, in the one Super Bowl, ironically, that Roethlisberger lost was to Aaron Rodgers. In Ben's defense, he had a broken foot in that game, so he had trouble throwing.
Okay.
But anyway, I mean, excuses are like, what? Everybody's got one, and nobody wants to hear from it. So, so we have, right on Saturday, we've got two home teams that had bye weeks, number one seeds, come out and lay turds, and they're both home watching. So, it makes you wonder that fight for that number one seed, the fight
Is
for
it
that
really?
bye week, is it really
Is it
worth
really
it?
worth it?
Is it really worth it? It makes you wonder. I mean, and ironically, both games on Saturday and then the one we're going to talk about next, all their final play took place with 4 seconds remaining.
Right.
4 seconds remaining in all those games. Again, this was a weekend like I hate the term unprecedented, but hey, what other term can you use, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember ever any kind of division or any playoff weekend where all 4 games were like this. And the last thing I want to say about, and you said it great about Aaron Rodgers games. The last thing I want to say is I thought, and he's been doing this all year. You brought this up before, where he's got targeting Adams the whole time and kind of ignoring all the other receivers. And it's like, and we've said like, well, what if a defense figures out how to kind of keep him
Circumvent that.
covered.
Yeah.
Circumvent that. But he didn't. There was no adjustments. He just kept going. Even on that last play, where he heaved it to him, Lazard was like, I know it's been a lot of people have talked about this, was wide open in the middle of the field, and he could have gone forever maybe until it could have gone for a touchdown because there was no one around him. And it's like he's locked in on Adam no matter what. It's almost like
and that's bizarre, and that's
yeah.
what I mean. If you're going to be one of these elite quarterbacks, you can't just go with your first read. You've got to find the open guy. You've got to win that game. You can't just force a ball into Davante Adams because he's your guy. If he's covered. And it's just, I mean, we've seen it year after year. Seattle going in there and beating them. Tampa Bay going in there and beating them. And now the 49ers go in there and beat them. And now the Packers, I think, are going to be they're going to take a few steps backward. Yeah. We'll see where, Rodgers says he's going to take time and all this kind of stuff. But now we're hearing grumblings that he's going to go to Denver and they're going to sign Davante Adams because they brought their offensive coordinator over there. What's his name? Haskins, right? Haskins. Geez. Whatever.
Jeez.
Yeah.
But Hackett, is it?
Hackett, that's it. Hackett. So we'll see. We will see. But yeah. So then I wake up Sunday and go, well, there's no way today's going to top yesterday. Especially this first game. I think Tampa Bay, I wouldn't say has it locked up, but I had a pretty good feeling for Tampa Bay at home, even though, as we talked about, Tom Brady had a banged-up center, banged-up tackle, and 2 banged-up tackles, and that proved to be a huge factor against the Rams.
Especially against that Rams defensive line of Von Miller and think of
Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd. It was nuts.
Yeah, and I mean, and this is the one game that looked like it was just going to be kind of, one team running away with it, except it was the team that we didn't think it was actually the Rams running away with it. And as I was watching this early on, they got the 17-point lead, and then they're down there by the goal line again. And I'm like, man, if they score a touchdown here, I don't want to say, puts them away, because with Tom Brady coming with those big comebacks, especially the Super Bowl against Atlanta, you don't want to say that. But geez, if they go up by like,
it would have been 27-3 at halftime.
27-3. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be tough against this defense, and they wound up fumbling the ball.
Cam Akers puts the ball on the ground.
Yep, and I'm like, and that's the point. I'm like,
It's same. But then again, and then it carried over into the third quarter. Like,
yes, it did.
Tampa Bay could not. Their offense was stuck in neutral. It was like watching the Steelers. It really. I mean, like, just getting like 3 or 4 yards was a big deal. I just couldn't. I mean, I know Tom was under siege the whole game, but they couldn't make. They tried to bring in extra tight ends. They tried to chip with running backs. Nothing was working, except for they were able to turn the Rams over 4 times.
Yep.
And that was their saving grace, that they were somehow able to keep turning the Rams over, and it kept the game within striking distance until all of a sudden, with about 6 minutes to go, Tom Brady awakens. And suddenly, here we go again.
And the Rams have the habit of doing this type of thing where they can't close out the games, and it's like somehow their defense could be playing this shutout game like 3 quarters plus, and then all of a sudden they turn into like kind of like a regular crappy defense because you can't close an opponent out. I mean, that happened in that week 18 against San Francisco as well. It's and I was like shocked that I'm like looking at the time clock, and I'm like, okay, all you guys got to do is force Tom Brady to take like 3 or 4 minutes to. You don't give up the big play. Time is on your side.
And Mike Evans gets behind the defense,
and then how does that happen?
In one play, and that all of a sudden all the momentum flipped, and then all the Rams had to do, and they knew it, was just run the ball.
Yeah.
Try to get a first down or two. They'll take the clock down far enough, and Cam Akers puts it on the ground again. And giving Ndamukong Suh a ton of credit, because Akers had actually broken contain And
did.
Sue reached back and pulled the ball as he was
Yep.
past him, pulled the ball out. Great play. Great play by
That was the
Dominican Sue.
worst possible thing that could happen to them. Even if they don't make the first down, at least force Tampa Bay to have to take up a long part of the field. But a fumble there, that I'm like, at that point, I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, now you
Tom
give
Brady-
Brady a
Tom
short
Brady did it
field.
again.
Short field ties the game. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And I'm thinking now, if the roles were flopped, I'm looking at the time and I'm thinking, well, if that was Tom Brady with a minute and change, they're going to win the game. But I'm like, but it's Matthew Stafford.
Yep.
And he hasn't Matthew Stafford yet. When is the Acme ball going to poof, the dynamite ball going to blow? And I'm thinking this is going to be it, right? He's going to try to rally them down the field and he's going to throw a pick six and they're going to lose, right? No. Tampa Bay decides they want to be the Rams now and they let Cooper Kupp, the NFL's Triple Crown winner in receiving, get open not once, but twice. And bring them all the way down to the 6-yard line or whatever it is, and they kick a chip shot field goal with 4 seconds remaining and win the game.
And the first play, not the longer play, but the first play to him, it wasn't supposed to go to him at all. Like I think Stafford said, it's like, oh, he was just a decoy on that.
Yes, he was.
It's like, but he got away from his
But he
guy,
was
so
wide
I went to
open.
him anyway.
Yeah, he was wide open. And then
hilarious.
it goes right down the seam for a deep ball there, the bomb.
I still don't get in these games how this happened. On both sides. Ramsey on the others letting I think it was Evans.
Yeah, they left him in one-on-one coverage.
Like, and that's okay leaving Ramsey on one-on-one because you got him because you're supposedly he's the
he's a shutdown corner, right?
Well, are you kidding me? It's like I was like, holy cow! It's like, so how this keeps happening over and over again with these defenses when it's like the last thing you want to do, that's the very last thing you want to do is give up that big touchdown. But that's what's been happening all this time.
And that's what big plays. So Tampa Bay kicks it on the last play of the game, boom, and Tampa Bay's gone. The Rams are in, and now three awesome games, and you're like, gee, that's a shame that the Bills and the Chiefs are going to be the worst game of the week. Because there's no way it can top what I just saw. Hold my beer, says the Chiefs and the Bills.
I do just want to say real quick, I want to give Stafford a lot of credit for that.
I do too. I do too.
I know we've been a little bit critical sometimes, and rightly so, because he gets tight in certain spots.
He had like 9 turnovers in the last 3 games.
Gives up gives up the games and stuff. But in that particular moment, I give him a lot of credit.
Yeah, we'll swing a chair for him for now. So the Chiefs and the Bills tell everybody else to hold their beer. And both teams go out and proceed to play.
Get on the field.
They play an all-time classic game. Both quarterbacks played flawless, perfect games.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that a guy like Josh Allen scores 5 touchdowns, throws for over 340 yards, and loses the game.
Yeah. How does he how does he get reason with himself, or how does anyone try to make him feel any better?
How do you console someone after that?
He literally played he can't be any better. Like, it's like you can say, oh yeah, I could have done a little bit. No, you can't get any. Literally, couldn't have played any better.
He played a flawless football game.
And they kept saying defense. This is the number one defense. Well, it doesn't really matter when it comes to playoff games, I guess, that they quote unquote have the number one defense, because Mahomes was just as good. This was kind of like the first half was kind of like 14-14. Okay, we figured every time, not every time, but the each team would kind of keep pace with each other. Perfect 14-14 goes into the half, and then they kept. It was a close game throughout the whole length of the game. But then the sparks really flew, probably with 2 minutes left.
Yeah, well,
in the game.
First, let's back up a little bit. We were texting when the game started, and I said something to the effect of, "Whoever has the ball last here is going to win this game."
Yep.
And then Bill
Yeah.
Cowher said the same thing, and I was like, all right, I'm in good company. Coach Cowher
Yeah.
agrees with me. He said the same thing. So Gabe Davis for Buffalo comes out of freaking nowhere. Like,
Yeah, I
Gabe
don't know what.
Davis. I mean, what a perfect game plan to. You're thinking going in, okay, Stephon Diggs, Emmanuel Sanders, Cole Beasley, Gabe Davis? Gabe Davis, 201 yards receiving and 4 touches.
Which is a record, right, for a playoff game.
Yeah, I
I think the
believe
4
so.
touchdowns in one game is a playoff.
I believe so. And it was just, I mean, they even had Isaiah McKenzie above him on the receiver depth chart. Like,
Yep.
nobody had Gabe Davis in their pool, right? So, Allen throws for 4 touchdowns, 329, and Mahomes throws for 378, 3 touchdowns, and runs for 1. It was just this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until what? Let me look real quick here. Fourth quarter.
I think it was just under 2 minutes when Buffalo took the lead, 29-26, which the 2 times before that, when Buffalo had the ball and they were driving, like one of my many "this game is over" things hit me. It's like they had a 4th down earlier, like 4th and 4. I mean, that's not bad, but the Kansas City defense seemed to have Josh Allen for a loss, and then he somehow gets away from him and runs for the 1st down. All right, well, you guys blew that chance, and then a 4th and 13. I'm like, when I saw 4th and 13, are you kidding me? Come on. I mean, a playoff defense should be able to just end it right there. And it was like at the 2-minute warning. And then when he freaking throws who throws a touchdown pass on 4th and 13 with the game on the line? Holy
To
cow.
your 5th string wide receiver. So, yeah.
To the aforementioned Gabe Davis.
To Gabe Davis. There was, 31 points scored in just over 2 minutes?
Yeah.
It was just, all of a sudden, it was this eruption of points. It was insane. And when Buffalo took the lead with 13 seconds to go and 3 timeouts, I thought to myself, well, with 3 timeouts, that kind of puts it closer to 30 seconds. Gives them a couple extra plays.
I still did not think that it would be.
I
don't know. I just couldn't wrap my mind around 13 seconds. I'm like,
13 seconds. Now, the biggest mistake Buffalo made right away was kicking off into the end zone. Because
I was seeing this live, and I'm like, well, they should just kick a line drive, take up some seconds just kicking a line drive or something. I know that kind of leaves it a chance that there's a return, but so what? I mean, at least you're taking it. But nope. To the end zone it goes.
I would kick it straight into one of those linemen, let it bounce around a little bit.
Like that.
All you got to do is kill 5, 6, 7 seconds. Now Patrick Mahomes has 6 or 7 seconds left to go 85 yards or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That was a mistake. And it was kind of this thing, and we've seen it in sports before. I'm thinking specifically of the Detroit Pistons-Boston Celtics game in 86, was it, or 88? When Larry Bird stole the ball because Detroit was celebrating.
Oh, yeah.
And when Detroit tried to inbound the ball, Larry Bird stole it, laid it in, the Celtics won. Like, the Bills were done. Like, the Bills won. Yeah, they thought they won the game, right?
That's it. Yeah. You could clearly see from everybody's kind of like mannerisms on the sideline, and like they knew they had it. I mean, that was the end of it.
Right. Right. But you got to play with Patrick Mahomes, especially with a guy like that. You've got to play those 13 seconds. And the Buffalo didn't. They went out on the field and went through the motions and they got their butts handed to them. Because all of a sudden it was a quick pass to Tyreek Hill, quick pass to Travis Kelce, field goal, tie game, overtime. And I said to you, whoever gets the coin flip is not the other team's not touching the ball. It was obvious the other team wasn't touching the ball because both these teams were going to score a touchdown.
Yep.
So, overtime they go right down the field. They throw the back shoulder pass to Travis Kelce on 1st down, and Chiefs are in the championship game for the 4th year in a row. Yeah,
well, wow. There were so many times within that 2-minute period that I'm like, oh yeah, the ball game. Buffalo. Well, when Buffalo takes a 29-26 lead and there's a minute something, like, you could still tie that. But Hill goes for a touch. I was like, oh, they got it. They won. I mean, all they have because with the extra point, the critical extra point, makes Buffalo go all the way to the end zone. And I'm like, they're not going to come all the way. I mean, they have enough time, but geez, all the defense has to do is make one play or whatever. Nope.
And Buffalo did a great job. Allen did a phenomenal job on the 2-point conversion, buying time, and Diggs freelanced and got himself open in the back corner. That made it huge because otherwise they lose by a point.
Yeah. After that,
right.
Kansas City can just run down the clock and then kind of just
kick a field goal and win by a point. Right. So, boy, what a game, though. I saw my friend Anthony at the gym yesterday. He said he watched it again on Monday. It was so good. And he's a Jets fan. So
yeah, I know there's like a video that they have up where it's like it's a 30-minute video basically starting that game from like the 2-minute warning. I've been watching that over and over again.
It's just insane.
Just really awesome.
Yeah, I mean, so many great passes. Both quarterbacks off their back foot, falling down, sidearm throws, underhand throws, the running. Both of them ran for, I think. Let me see here. Let's see.
It was like
Mahomes ran for 69 and Allen ran for 68. So, I mean, these guys played about as even and clean. No turnovers. I mean, there were very few penalties. It was a really well-played game, really clean game. And I got to tell you something. I'm watching that game, and I'm thinking to myself, the Steelers are in a different universe from these kind of teams. There's no way the Steelers are going to sniff the championship or a Super Bowl
right now,
with these two guys. These two guys are 25, 26 years old. They're going to be around for at least another decade. If the Steelers don't like find a stud, there's no point in even running out on the field anymore.
Plus, you still have Burrow too and Herbert. I mean, you got those guys
and Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. I mean, those guys are still at the top of their game. Like, there's a big difference between the elite teams and everybody else. Yeah. So that brings us to this weekend, and so the wild card weekend, kind of a dud. Divisional playoff, one for the ages. What's going to happen this week? Well, let's find out, shall we? Sunday afternoon. Well, it's morning to some people.
Yeah.
3 in the afternoon, Eastern time. The upstart Cincinnati Bengals. They're still here. Yep. Travel to Geeha Field at Arrowhead Stadium to play the Chiefs in the AFC Championship
we've gotten down
game.
to where it's like there's only games on Sunday now, no more Saturday games.
That's it. So CBS gets the first one.
And I would love to see the Bengals get into the Super Bowl. My mind tells me, though, it's going to be the way, just the way that, we talked about during the year that Kansas City kind of lost their ability to make the big plays. And then towards the end of the season, and especially in the playoffs now, where you want to play your best, they've just got it back. I mean, they don't seem to be any different than, Kansas City of a couple years ago or last year in terms of just their offense. And just the way they kind of won that game that we just described, I think in their mindset is like, they kind of feel like they can just win any game at this point. I think and I hope Cincinnati will make this a really good game. And I know these two played like maybe it was week 16 or 17, and that was a classic game from the regular season. It was like 34-31, where I thought Kansas City had it easily won, and then Cincinnati made it all the way back. So I hope it's a really great game. I honestly do think, though, the way Kansas City is playing, that they're definitely going to win with the big plays.
Yeah, you're right. It was week 17. Okay. Kansas City went into Cincinnati.
Yep.
And lost 34-31, and that was
that was great.
Jamar Chase game. I think he had like 266 yards receiving in that game. Here's the thing. That was in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So going to Kansas City, totally different monster. The Bengals are a great story. And I think the Bengals are going to be back in years to come.
Oh, yeah.
But I think the magic carpet ride does end here. I can't see. I mean, they outscored the Chiefs 17-3 in the second half of that game. And a lot of that was that Chase was just how he
Right.
was getting wide open. He was all by himself. How that happened. The Chiefs are too good a team not to adjust to that. And he's going to get his plays. And it's going to be, I think it's going to be a very similar game to the one we just saw last week with Buffalo. Very similar game. However, to me, when I see 13 seconds, and it looks like I've never seen anyone win a football game in 13 seconds before. Nobody. That's insane. And Patrick Mahomes just keeps making you say, okay, wow, never seen that before. He's just.
Yeah.
And I think, when push comes to shove, even if Cincinnati is hanging around at the end, if there's time left on the clock and you give Mahomes the ball and he's got Tyreek Hill and he's got Travis Kelce, he's going to find a way to win that game. I mean, when the Chips, look at that. I mean, the whole game, Buffalo did a great job of kind of taking those two away.
Yep. They did.
They were getting plays out of Hardman, Pringle. Pringle had a touchdown. It was different players. Who actually looked good is McKinnon from the guy they got from the 49ers.
Yeah.
But when the game was on the line, he went to those two guys. you go to what do they say? You dance with the ones who brung you. So as much as I'd love to see Cincinnati, and I'm going to root for Cincinnati, I might even throw a little money on Cincinnati. That's 7-point spread. Why not, right?
That is a pretty big. I think that is a big number.
I just can't see them. I just can't see them beating the Chiefs at home either. I think the Chiefs are going to go to their third straight Super Bowl. So.
Yeah, and I like the point you made when they played during the regular season that somehow the Kansas City offense kind of went to sleep for a while, and they got to. I don't think that's going to happen here. Like even if Cincinnati does score a lot of points, that I think Kansas City will kind of keep up with them, and won't let them. They're not going to get outscored like 17-3 again for that period of time. They're going to.
No, they're not. And the one factor though, the Honey Badger has not been cleared to play yet. I expect him to play. That was a big difference in their secondary when he went out. He went out very early in that game when he got kicked in the head. The line has actually moved to 7.5. Cincinnati plus 7.5. I could see them losing by like 5 or 6.
Yeah, might even be a field
maybe even a field goal. But you're right. There's no way they're putting a 17-3 second half whooping on the Chiefs in Kansas City. With the Super Bowl, a trip to the Super Bowl on the line? I don't think so. So, we both got the Chiefs, so I can't catch you with that one. Maybe I'll catch you with this one. The last of the semifinal games on Sunday on Fox at 6:30 p.m. The also upstart San Francisco 49ers travel to Los Angeles to take on the Rams at SoFi Stadium, the NFC.
And this is a really hard game for me to pick because they know each other so well. San Francisco has how many games did I read? Like they won like, is it 8 in a row?
I think it's 8 in a row.
Wow, I thought it was even 6 or 7. Wow.
Yeah.
And I haven't really given San Francisco a lot of credit during this. I mean, they basically played 3 straight playoff games because their regular season game in Week 18 was a playoff game to them.
Yeah.
They lose that game, New Orleans makes it and not them. So they were in that mode right from there on. And it's like it's hard to pick against them because of the history that these two teams, the recent history that these two teams have against each other. But I'm going to anyways, and not because I don't want to give them credit, but because I think the way that the Rams kind of had that game and kind of like they didn't lose it, but they kind of like lost their entire lead and then still somehow overcame that shift in momentum against a guy on the other side that kind of like does this for his career, like always comes back and wins these games. I think the way they did it, the way they overcame that will help them kind of more mentally and emotionally in this type of game. That the Rams have such just a hard time just finishing off games. Like, even against San Francisco, they had that lead and they just couldn't just finish it off. And I don't know if it's like a mental thing or a McVay thing, but I think they will do it this time, and I think it'll have a lot to do with how they won last week.
Well, yeah. I mean, this year alone, the 49ers pasted the Rams 31-10 in Week 10 up in San Francisco.
Yeah, and I remember picking the Rams that game.
Yep.
Like
And
an
then
idiot.
the aforementioned Week 18 debacle where the Rams had a big lead at halftime and ended up losing the game in overtime. Look, if all things were equal, I'd probably take the 49ers here. But I got to play the law of averages. And when you beat the same team 8 times in a row, your luck is bound to run out at some point. I mean, it's the law of averages, right? I mean, what are the odds they beat them 9 in a row, if that's the number?
Yeah.
I believe it is 8. If it's 6 and 7. It's the one thing that we haven't seen yet is Matthew Stafford pulling the stuff
Just
he
wonder-
pulled down the stretch. And
Just wondering if this is an implosion thing.
Now, interestingly enough, on the other side, we have the other guy playing with the Acme Dynamite football kit,
Yep.
Jimmy Garoppolo, who's probably not going to be the starter in San Francisco next year. I think they're going to have to give that to Trey Lance. You don't draft the kid number 3 overall and let him watch Jimmy Garoppolo. What Garoppolo throw for last week? 119 yards or something like that.
Yeah. I mean,
It was pretty bad. I'm going to quickly look at that, but
yeah, and that's the thing. It's like in these last 2 games that they won, both against the Cowboys and the Packers, he hasn't really done that much. It was more like, their defense played a great game both games, and they have the running game pretty well too. He hasn't really kind of had to do much or has done much with it.
yeah. So he was 11 for 19, 131 yards and a pick.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they're relying mostly on their ground game and then the Deebo Samuel show.
Yep.
To kind of bail them out, and you got Kittle and Elijah Mitchell, but yeah, I even if, and here's my thinking on this too, even if Stafford throws a pick or 2 or 3, they turned the ball over 4 times against Tom Brady and still found a way to win that game. And most of it was because of that savage defense. And now I'm thinking about that defense against Jimmy Garoppolo with a trip to the Super Bowl on the line.
Yeah. They have to play a full game though.
They do. I think back and... Yeah, I think this game has the earmarks of being a little ugly, a little low scoring. But I just I don't want the Rams to win. I don't. The Super Bowl I'm rooting for, Cincinnati and San Francisco for the third time. The Super Bowl we're going to get is the Chiefs and the Rams. I'd like to point out, if we get a third variation, the 49ers and the Chiefs, that was my preseason pick. Well, you guys can go back and check. Look at you. Mine was what, Buffalo and Tampa Bay?
No, I think it was
Kansas City and Tampa Bay.
It was like a rematch of the...
That's right. It was Kansas City, Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
So the 49ers...
I don't think it's going to happen anyways, but...
No, Tampa Bay's not going there. I guarantee it.
No, I meant I don't think it'll be San Francisco and Kansas City, but
No,
there is a chance.
Which would be great because it's a rematch from 2 years ago.
Oh, so, right. Yep. That's another one where they kind of blew that one too.
Yep. So, unfortunately, I'd love to see Cincinnati, San Francisco Super Bowl, but we're not going to get it. So, 49ers are getting 3.5 officially. Oh, okay. So they're thinking it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a close game too because, again, both quarterbacks are playing with Acme Football Dynamite kits. So,
I mean, Garoppolo's been consistent. He's been good for at least one interception. Every single game.
Every single game, and it comes at the worst time. He doesn't throw it in the first quarter.
He almost gave it away to the Cowboys. Yeah, when it's like they had that game.
Exactly. Let's check the old AccuWeather.
Yeah, I'm sure
for Kansas City on Sunday afternoon, 48 degrees. Real feel 51.
I mean, yeah.
That's not
fine.
What is that? Wind
I
gusts
know.
at 10 miles an hour.
That's why blow get a chance.
Yeah. And then if we go to the NFC game in Los
And
Angeles,
Tennessee too.
Los Angeles is going to be 73 degrees, real feel
Wow.
73 with
Jeez.
7-mile-an-hour wind gusts.
Wow.
So we are just hosed on the weather.
That's like a heat wave over there. Jeez.
I know. That's not playoff football weather. And it doesn't even matter really in LA because it's covered. The sides are open.
Oh,
so,
right.
like, they're having, like, high winds for the last couple days. So, like, if that was happening, there's a chance it could come barreling through there and cause a wind tunnel or something. But, nah. Both games are going to be pretty mild and sunny, and so
Imagine
perfect.
playing in Buffalo this weekend.
Or Green Bay.
We're supposed to get quite a bit.
Yeah.
Of snow, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh well.
And that's where the Super Bowl's taking place too. Where
Yes.
where the Rams are playing. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, which is crazy. So last year was the first year we had a team play in their home stadium in a Super Bowl. In 55
now we can
years.
Have 2 in a row.
Now we could have 2 in a row. It's just been that kind of season, Edson.
Yeah.
It's been that kind of season.
It would be just like that. It will either be something like that or the fourth variation, which we didn't talk about, would be like Cincinnati, Los Angeles.
Right.
which was I don't think is a rematch in any way.
Well, a bit of advice to the Rams: you have to go get it this year because I don't think you can keep that team together for very long.
That's true.
They've mortgaged their future. They gave away a ton of, 2 number ones to get Matthew Stafford. They clearly said, "Look, the Super Bowl's at home. Let's go for it this year."
Yeah, and looks like it worked out for them.
We'll see.
So far,
We will see. So, that's it. That's it for our show this week. It's easy when there's only 2 games to call, right?
Yep.
So, we have a week in between the championships and the Super Bowl. I don't know if we want to do anything, or I don't know. We'll keep you guys posted. We don't know what we're going to do.
Yeah, we probably should just go over these 2 games sometime next week.
Yeah, and maybe whatever breaking news there is and stuff like that. So
there's been quite some movement in coaching. Looks like the Broncos, like we said, going after the Packers offensive coordinator, and there was another one. I think the Bears
hired the
Indianapolis's defensive
defensive
I can't
coordinator.
Pronounce his name.
Matt Eberflus.
I tried to.
Matt Eberflus. Yeah.
And then the Jaguars are trying to, like, I guess those two were kind of like high on their list, and they lost them. So I don't know what they're gonna do. I think they're trying to get maybe Leftwich, who played for them at one time.
And the Raiders, who did what I didn't want them to do, they got rid of Rich Bisaccia, and they're going to interview Josh McDaniels, I guess.
Yep.
So good luck with that. He was a horrible head coach in Denver.
Oh, that's right.
Keep raidering. Keep raidering,
yeah, that's
Raiders.
Fine.
Just keep raidering. They're gonna blow that whole thing up. They're gonna pull out Dolphins and just ruin the whole thing.
Yeah, and one of the casualties may be Carr going to one of these teams who needs a quarterback, getting lucky with Carr.
Yeah, exactly. Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yep, I can see it happening because they already got rid of Mayock. They let Bisaccia go, and now what's the point of keeping Carr if they're going to turn the whole thing over, right?
I can't believe the way the Raiders did not tank, that they didn't just.
Why would you not stick with it?
Give Bisaccia a chance. Come on.
One more year. Stick with it one more year. They lost at the end, like on a field goal, like.
Yeah.
Yeah. It came down to that last play where Carr threw the interception on the 4-yard line. Like, they were right there. With all they went through this year.
Yeah, no one was giving him a chance like 4 or 5 weeks ago. It's like,
including us.
Yeah, including me. Yeah.
Yeah. So the coaching carousel is always fun to watch, and I'm sure in another week, because you got Byron Leftwich out there, you've got Todd Bowles out there.
Yeah.
So it's going to get interesting. So we'll check back in. So good luck with your picks this week, folks. Don't pick whatever. Oh, you can't. I was going to say whatever I said, do the opposite.
Well, still,
But we took the
do
same
it.
thing.
That's okay.
Okay.
I'm not doing that
Whatever
very
I
well,
took,
so
do the opposite.
Yep.
And good luck, and
probably
we'll
do
see
better
you.
that way.
We'll see you next time. Oh, don't forget to, Edson, if you point up, you can hit the socials.
Okay.
There you go, and I'll hit the Rumble. And please like, share, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you guys next time. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up below. Also, please subscribe to GeekTime TV. It really helps us grow the channel. And make sure you hit that bell icon in order to receive notifications every time we drop new content here. You can also check us out on social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at geektimenet. Thanks again for watching. We will see you soon.
Say, kids, what time is that?